Hey there, welcome to today's episode. It's going to be a live unedited session, so apologies for any background noise. Thought we'd make a little beat on the MPC sample, but to switch things up, just do something a little bit different, thought we could do some kind of drum and bass jungly sort of vibe. I've no idea really, but we'll see what happens. We'll start with a blank project, so I think this is blank anyway, but we'll start a new one, just clear everything out. Shift and pad 5, I want to make sure the compressor is off. Shift and pad 1, so we can make sure that this is full level in terms of velocity. And then we can search for a sample. I've already got a sample folder loaded up just to save us a bit of time, and it's some classic kind of drum and bass breaks, and I figured we can pick one of these and slice it up and do something with it. Can hear the kind of pitch slightly differently. I think this one sounds good. 175 BPM, so that's a nice easy starting point. Go to the sequence, and then we can change our sequence to 175 BPM. Just check a couple of other things while we're here. I want to make sure I've got a metronome on, I want quantize on, no swing, and 1/16 in terms of what we're going to kind of snap to on the grid. If we go back to the sample, didn't actually load that one up, let's load it up. Then we can chop it, and I'm going to chop it by regions. And I'm assuming because of the length of this, 16 pieces, it's a perfect loop. That will give us like individual slices. Not down to a single drum hit, but just little moments, little pieces. You get the idea. And that's what I want. I want to kind of chop it up and reconstruct it in different ways. Might take me a few attempts, but that's kind of my goal. Yeah, something like that. We've got the metronome playing, which kind of interrupts things, but we'll turn that off in a second. Now, when we're dealing with 2 bars at 175 BPM, it goes by pretty quick. And my thought here is that we might want about 8 bars to get us started, and then we'll start turning it into some kind of a beat. But I want those 8 bars to be slightly different, so we're going to choose a new sequence. Make sure this one's 175, and just go in and do exactly the same thing and see if we can create like a slightly different pattern. Yeah, okay. And then follow those same steps again, a new sequence. At 2 bars, of course, we need 4 sequences to get our 8 bars. So we'll say 175 again, and straight back in. And just, yeah, little moments, little breaks, little sparse moments I'm looking for here and there. So there's another one. And then this sequence, last one for now, we will do 175. Of course, we're going to chop it. I'm just trying to think of what we can have. So yeah, I might leave a little bit more room in this one, maybe. No, mess that one up. Let's try it again. Yeah, there might be some unwanted parts of this. We slice this up on what is like a real live drummer kind of playing. So whether this all kind of lines up and you've got some little bits you need to take out with start and end points, but it's not sounding too bad. If we get rid of our metronome now, get rid of that, we can go to the sequences and just play through those in order and see what they sound like. Now that last one there is maybe something. It's got something in one of the sample chops that sounds a little bit off. Let's go back to the sample, take a quick look. And what we'll do is we'll zoom in a little bit so that we can see. Yeah, can you hear it there actually? It's got like a little bit of a sort of strange noise towards the kind of the tail of that slice. Don't know whether we could get a little bit of decay set there to get rid of that. Just increase it a bit. And I don't mind it being kind of short and sort of snappy, because those little gaps, those little moments are the things I'm kind of looking for. So rather than spending too long, that's going to be our first 8 bars. To make our life easier, we don't really need a bunch of separate ones. Now, we can keep those if we were trying to build out a much bigger track at some point. Might be useful to keep hold of them. But for today's episode, I'm going to go into song mode, and I'm going to take that exact order, and I'm just going to insert all of these into song mode, so that I can bounce them down to one sequence. So that's how we're going to get our 8-bar loop that we're going to begin with. So I'm going to go to export, and I'm just going to say sequence, not a mix down. It's going to give me a new sequence here. We look at this sequence. It's 8 bars long. Oops, I accidentally just moved that, I think. It's 8 bars long. But it gives us a base to work from. I'm going to actually erase all of these because I don't need them. So they should now all be completely empty. We'll know because they've gone back to 128 BPM. And we've just got this one. Now, I think just to be organized and to feel organized, I'm going to quickly select this one, shift, and I'm going to copy that one down to this bottom pad. And then I'm going to erase this one out. So we've only got one, but it's now down on our first pad, first sequence space. Yeah, it's cool. So we've got that. Now we can, play around a little bit. We want to start fleshing this thing out into at least the seed of an idea, something, a loop that we could deconstruct and turn into, a full track. So let's start with some samples. And I like, as much as I like electronic music, which of course all of this is a form of like electronic music, I still kind of like more analog sounds, even when it comes to drum and bass. I know there's a lot of these like real heavy synths and that kind of, vibe. I don't mind some of that here and there, but really more kind of analog vibe. So I'm going to go with, we'll go to sample packs. I'm going to go with C notes, which is one of my own. And I'm going to find, a mallet, a piano, something to start off with, but more kind of analog sort of vibe. Let's go with, let's go with keys. All right, this felt style keys. I kind of like that one. Nice little felt piano. It's quite a loud sample, so let's turn it down a little bit. And with our breaks, let's turn those up a bit. Do need to be mindful of having a little bit of headroom, but that's for later on. So we got this. Let's put it to 16 levels. This needs to overlap, so we're going to make sure it's polyphonic. And I'm going to make sure full level in terms of the pad velocity is off so that we can get softer, louder notes. And I still favor kind of darker vibes. But as I said, I don't really want big, heavy synths. I want this kind of analog sort of feel to it. And when I'm starting off like that, that's all I'm doing. I'm just kind of riffing through little notes to see if I come up with a little melody, a little idea that I think I can kind of hook into. And I kind of like that. It's got a sort of dark kind of horror vibe to it. So I might try and record that in a little bit. And we'll do a better job than that. So we'll undo it. But the other thing as well, I'm going to take quantize off because I still want it to have like that off the grid sort of timing where I want it. I want it to kind of follow what I'm playing. So back here, just go back into 16 levels. And yeah, we're okay. It's kind of something, but I need to remember that we've got longer to play with, so I stopped short there. Just make sure we've cleared that. And then I want to wait. And I don't mind, even we got a little bit of a quieter note. We could go into step edit, bump up the velocity for that note to make it a little bit louder, but that gives it, again, more like human kind of organic feel. And even though we're only dealing with 8 bars, the first little set of kind of notes, the little riff, is slightly different to the second set, and I think that gives it kind of more life as well. And what we'll do here, let me, try some effects. We know when we look at our sample, it's on the second pad. So Shift and this knob effects, I can just choose this second pad. That's where I'm going to send these effects to. And we might just try, I don't know, maybe just some regular delay on this one, or the diff delay. I do like the diff delay because it diffuses it. It kind of gives it like a filter as it sweeps out. So let's see what happens. Need to adjust the timing and slow it down. Yeah, that's cool. Take the mix down a little bit. Because we only get one effect at any given time, I might want to come back and apply effects to other pads and do other stuff, different effects. So the quickest way around that is to go back to the samples, go to mute the drums, Shift and pad 11 to resample, choose an empty pad, and it's going to take those little piano notes with that effect and give me a perfect 8-bar loop with it all kind of bounced down. So if we just unmute and go back, this pad here, that's my new little riff, my new loop. So it's easy then to record it back into the sequence. With the sequence, I'm just going to hit record and I'm going to do erase, and I'm going to erase this second pad. The reason I'm doing that is because if I want to use that pad again, I want to get rid of any MIDI events that are in there. So all those piano notes that were there should now be gone because we've erased them. And then what we can also do while we're here is we can make sure quantize is on and just re-record our loop back in. So make sure it loops. Yeah, cool. It's my kind of vibes. It's not snap to the grid. It's not like this electronic thing. It's, I don't know, it's an old movie soundtrack or something with like a drum and bass sort of vibe. Let's go back and find some more samples. We can erase this piano now. We don't need it anymore. So we've freed up a pad slot if we want to. And maybe we want to start thinking about a little bit of a bass line that might be under this, something sinister and kind of dark. And I'm looking for the right bass tone again, more analog. It's not like a digital bass. And we'll put it over here. I know when we're dealing with samples, digital, of course. You know what I mean? We still have the effect turned on. For this, you can hear the delay. So I'm going to go back and we're going to make sure that we just turn it off so it's not being applied to this pad. We can then put this one into 16 levels. This one will leave monophonic because it's a bass line. And again, simplicity, I'm not looking for anything too bouncy, maybe just a few notes here and there. This one is quite loud in terms of the sample. I might just go for something like that. Just dark, sinister, and we're leaving room to build and lead it to somewhere else later on. need some effects, some noise. I feel like with stuff like this, little low tone of something kind of moving along, something not necessarily claustrophobic, but gives it like a sense of, I don't know, intensity. Well, you'll see what I mean. Let's try and find something like a string. So we got some strings. That one's kind of cool. Tremolo. Might even just, again, be like one simple note, but it's adding that suspense. There's like a little tension there. So we'll load that one to this pad. Make sure it's loaded up. Again, it's a loud sample. And then we could go to 16 levels. Yeah, again, I'm still kind of drawn more to the idea of maybe just one note. Let's record just one note. Wrong note. This one. Now it's got this kind of awkward tail at the end. So that's where we can come back to our effects now, because we can assign this to this pad here. I don't know, maybe we try a little tape delay on that. I want something that just extends it a bit. Kind of expanding it out a little bit to disguise it and give it like a little bit of a sort of finishing point. I feel like we need a little effect where it kind of just drops out. Now, I say disguise it, I don't mind that it drops out, but I just want something that kind of just kicks in. There's like a little point and then that kind of fades out that string at the end. So I'm going to look for another sample. And this time it needs to be a little, I don't know, like a little transient effect or something, a little transition effect even. Like that one. So let's see. And then we want to record that note back in again, I think, this note. So I'm going to go back to 16 levels for this one. I'm just going to re-record that in as well, or add to it. That's it. It's like a little strike. There's something that just happens as that string fades away, just a little hit. It's just something that my ear kind of wants. Over here, just going to apply that same tape delay to that effect. See what it sounds like. Yeah, it's cool. Just kind of spaces it out. Now, we face the same problems that we had before if we want to get into using more of these effects for different things. So very quickly, might now make our strings just one track, as you know, that's how I look at it. These are the individual tracks. So we'll do shift and resample, and we'll choose a destination pad. I'm just going to put it above so that I kind of remember where it is. I'm going to have my strings over here. So if we just unmute all of this, this should be the strings. A little bit of that delay in there as well. And then we can do the same here for this little kind of note, little strike note that we've got. Just do resample pad 11. I'll just put this one next to it here. Doesn't really matter too much. But then we've got that as a separate track, so we can unmute all of these. And we should see with this one, yeah, there's our little notes. So what we'll do, we'll erase what we don't need. We don't need this anymore. That is the strings, and that's the individual note. We can erase this set of effects. We can just bypass for now, and we can make sure it's not set to any pads. Means we can use our effects again, but we still have to come back and record in what we need here. And we also want to clean up our MIDI. So if we go to our sequence, hit record, I'm going to hold erase. I'm going to tap this pad because I want to get rid of any MIDI information. And I'm going to do the same over here and get rid of any MIDI information so we can free up those pads for other things. While we're here, quantize is on. I'm going to record this loop in, and I'm also going to record, I think it's on this one, so we can probably do it at the same time. That was that pad. There we go. So let's take a look. Just make sure that is correct. Yeah. I'm going to normalize that so that we can play around with its volume independently. I think I want those a little bit louder. Might take a second. The normalize can be a little bit slow on this at times. But there we go. We got it. Yeah, cool. So nice kind of dark, sort of sinister vibe throughout. We've got a free pad here that we can use for something else. So we've got this kind of sparse, kind of minimal thing going on. It might be cool to start thinking about the layout of the track a little bit. So with this sequence, I'm going to copy it and make a duplicate. I'm going to come back to this original copy, this original version. And we're going to go to our record button, and I'm going to erase this one because I think that is the drums, if I'm right. Just thinking about the structure and how that might work. We might want it longer as the intro, put more stuff in there, a vocal or something. But that's going to lead us over here. If we wanted to make that the intro and make it longer, I could just shift and double the sequence. So this is now 16 bars long as an intro. And then let's say I wanted to add a sample to that, I could find like a weird vocal or something from a movie, spoken word, who knows.
A drugstore.
That's it.
Could you give me a car key?
A drugstore.
Did you wear gloves?
I think I did.
What kind?
I'll tell you something else.
You don't make up for your sins in the church.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool sample. Let's load it to this pad, and we can just go straight in and record that whatever we want in this intro. Again, I don't think I tapped the load there. That's my bad.
You don't make up for your sins in the church. You do it in the streets. You do it at home. The rest is bullshit and you know it.
Okay, so that's the seed of an idea in terms of what we're going to do for the intro for this track. Now with this, because we don't have automation yet for the effects, what I'm going to do is we could use skipback. Skipback's one way, or this recall as they call it. What I would do is we set this up with a delay. Typical delay. Change the timing so it's a little bit slower for this type of groove. And I'm looking for, I don't know, like quarter maybe. I'm going to apply it over here. And then we're going to go to our mix. We need to just make sure that's applied. Make sure we can see the mix.
You don't make up for your sins in the church. You do it in the streets. You do it at home. The rest is bullshit. You know it.
We're going to do it like that so we get like a little bit of delay at the end. In order to capture that, I then use recall, and that's going to recall it to whatever the empty pad is. I can't remember which one was free, but we'll find it. We should see it here. Now, the only thing is, if our recall isn't set up to resampling, because I think it's tried to put it, oh, has it? Yeah, here's an empty pad. So let's erase that. We need to make sure that recall is set up to be resampling by its source. So we'll try that again. Let's go back. Let's make sure we can see this effect. Turn this down. Be over here.
You don't make up for your sins in the church. You do it in the streets. You do it at home. The rest is bullshit. You know it.
Because that's what I want. Just want that like little feedback thing like that. So then if we go to shift and recall, it's going to do the same thing. It should be over here. We can quickly just go to this pad. And now we've got this new sample with the delay just at the end. That's the way that we get around having no automation on the effects at the moment. So if I go back to trim, can just crop this thing up a little bit if we shift and zoom in a touch, just to take it to around there. Let's trim it. And I'm actually going to normalize that sample as well.
You don't make up for your sins in the church.
And
You don't make up for your sins in the church.
do it like that. And then we can get rid of this one over here. We don't need this one. So we can clear it out. And to be useful, if we're on the sequence side of things, so we can get rid of the MIDI information, we're going to click this, erase, and make sure we've deleted any MIDI information. That pad is again free so that we can use it for something else. So we've got that now. We can just come back in and re-record that into our intro.
You don't make up for your sins in the church. You do it in the street.
Did I not delete that? I thought I had deleted it. Yeah, that's not there.
You don't make up for your sins in the church.
We might have had some stored MIDI information from before on this pad. So let's go to this and record and just quickly erase. Oh no, it tells me there's none. So where are we picking that up from? That was weird. It definitely played.
You don't make up for your sins.
It's because we've moved over the sequence.
You don't make up for your sins in the church.
That's why it's not deleting the information for that pad. Now it will.
You don't make up for your sins in the church.
And timing slightly off.
You don't make up for your sins in the church. You do it in the streets. You do it at home. The rest is bullshit.
Yeah, it's okay. Where we've got this delay effect, we take a look at that sample, you can see how we've got quite a big increase in gain at that point, and that's not necessarily something that we want. So in order to get around that, I'm going to copy this one over to this one.
You don't make up for sins in the church. You do it in the streets. The rest is bullshit.
So I can bring that one in. This one here.
You don't make up for your sins in the church. You do it in the streets. You do it at home.
That means it's going to cap that off.
You don't make up for your sins in the church. You do it in the streets. You do it at home. The rest is bullshit.
So then I can re-record in just that other little piece, but it means I've got independent volume control to bring that down into line a little bit more.
You don't make up for your sins in the church. You do it in the streets. You do it at home. The rest is bullshit.
And this is the beginning part of the track. So then as he says this, I want something else happening over here. A little, I don't know, effect noise or something to kind of just fill in that space. So we'll take a look at Beat Butcher, fill volume 3, and look at some of the effect sounds. Even that one is like kind of cool. It might be just the right thing to load in there. It's going to be loud, so let's turn it down.
You don't make up for your sins in the church. You do it in the streets. You do it at home. The rest is bullshit. 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 Bullshit.
And then might slow that down. We might play around with that a little bit. But I want to think about the idea of getting into like our first part where the drums kick in. So I might want to sweep that up a little. So we'll try and find something that we can do that with. Transition effects, those types of things. And I've got some in here. Like that one, where it kind of sweeps up. We load that sample. And I kind of like the fact that it's got a tail that would run potentially into the next sequence. Let's see if we can get the timing right. That might be a little tricky, but we'll see. We'll put the metronome back on so I've got something to work to.
You don't make up for your sins in the church. You do it in the streets. You do it at home. The rest is bullshit. 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 Bullshit.
Just like that. So now when we go to our sequence,
you don't make up for your sins in the church. You do it in the streets.
trigger the next one, ready to move over.
The rest is bullshit. 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 Church. You do it in the streets. You do it at home. You don't make up for your sins in the church.
Now, we've got that vocal caught up in there somewhere or other. I just accidentally recorded that in. I don't necessarily want that as it like goes in, but that's the effect. We want that nice sweep up into what is essentially kind of like our first verse, if you want to call it that. So let's find out what's happening with this. We can go to make sure we're still on this second sequence, find our little vocal sample, which we know is this one, and erase that event because we don't want it there. Okay. So that's kind of the first part of a track. We've got a nice little intro, moves over to this sequence. And then with this sequence, I'm going to copy it. So I'm just going to make a duplicate, put it over here. So that when we get here, we can do like a bit of a switch up. We can get it to do certain other things. So let's find some samples. Again, I might go to, let's see what we've got in terms of, I'm looking for one that I have called Shaolin Dreams, which was a free sample pack I put out as a bunch of Kung Fu samples. I'm pretty sure it's in here somewhere. Is it in here? There it is.
All right.
Bunch of these weird like Kung Fu samples.
Always be merciful.
But you mustn't.
I refuse.
I kind of like that one, like a weird laughter. Just make sure the pad is empty where we want to load it up to. And I'm going to record it in somewhere like that. Now, this is quite tricky when you want to erase something, get the timing right. You can always undo, but for a moment where that little laughter part comes in, I kind of like to drop everything else out, or certainly the drums. So this is our drums. I'm going to use the erase button, but we're going to be on the sample side of things where we can kind of use the erase button to pick and choose. So we just go into record, hold down erase, and then try and pull that out. I'll let it come around again. Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted. So it's kind of cool when it works out like that. So yeah, we can use the erase button in this kind of sample side of things to pick and choose little moments. You have to use your timing carefully, but that's what we can do, so we can get these like little moments. So we've got that, and then I think after that laughter, we need to introduce something else. And I don't know what that is just yet. I haven't really got anything in mind. Sometimes I've got something in mind. I'm thinking maybe another little melodic thing or some, I don't know, sample of some kind. I might try a little bit of Marco Polo, because I know he's got some like little horn stabs and things, I think, in that kit, and there might be something that works. We got flutes. Let's see what flutes. Yeah, little things like this. I think it kind of goes well with like the analog sort of jazzy vibe we got. Yeah. And then another little thing kind of just at the end. And it could be another one of these flutes. I like that one. Might have to trim it and do something with it, but I kind of like that one, so let's load it up. So you can see how we're starting to structure and we're starting to make something. Now, how long we want this track to be, I'm not really sure. I would get into song mode at some point and start building this together properly, but I just like to have these sequences, these building blocks that are the idea. We now know we've got this nice little intro. We've got something that kind of starts off. As we get over here, I'd probably copy this over again. Now, do we copy this one or this one? Maybe this first one. Let's make another copy of that pad or that sequence and put it over here. And with this one, we're gonna like have this little breakdown. Now, coming back to the previous sequence for 1 second, just while it's on my mind. Yeah, at the end of this one, to make it kind of lead into whatever we create for the next section, I think I want to drop the drums out again. So I'm going to do what I did before. Just going to make sure we're on the right sequence. We'll move over to the sampling side, record, and then use erase. You do have to be careful with that when you're erasing towards the end of a sequence. It's very easy to erase back at the beginning of the loop and get rid of your first part of your loop. Just make sure it's still there. It's that little pause that leads us into whatever we want to do in the next sequence. So we've now got a copy of the first one. And we're going to use this, and I think we kind of maybe deconstruct it a little bit more. So we take out maybe some of the bigger elements. Let's take a look at what we've got. Got our bass. We might leave the bass in. But this is kind of our main little piano riff thing, whatever we've kind of created. So the sequence, record, and just erase the MIDI out for that particular sequence. And just see what that sounds like if we go back. So we're stripping it back to just kind of like the bass line, and it's a slightly, it's a different section as it moves through. while we're here, let's talk a little bit about this idea. I'm going to remove any sequences, but this is what we could do. We could say we're going to start with our intro, then we're going to go into this one, into this one, and into this one, and then it plays down in a list, and that's how it's going to play through. So our track has already got some kind of structure.
You don't make up for your sins in the church. You do it in the streets. You do it at home. The rest is bullshit. 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 Bullshit.
You get how it works. We might want longer for in between, loop certain parts up and that type of thing. But we're starting to get that idea of a song structure and how things would work. So I think for the breakdown, then we introduce something else a little bit. I'm not sure what, again, that might be. Maybe we switch up to a new little melody. We add some, I don't know, just because cymbals are right here in my face, maybe we... I don't know, we could add a ride cymbal, just put that over. Might take a look at that sample, it's quite quiet, we'll normalize it. It's going to be really loud now, and that's not necessarily what we want, but I just wanted a bit more volume. Want to make sure we're not stuck in fixed velocity, so we get a little life. And then we could, yeah, maybe do something kind of like that. We just make that poly. And we'll record. Probably got quantize off at that point. That might not be the best thing to do, but we can time and correct after the fact if we go to this one and just make sure you select the lane, the track, the pad that you want to adjust. In this case, it's this one. And I'm just going to say do it. I'm going to make them a little bit lazy. Just make them ever so slightly behind the grid and say do it. And you get that kind of effect. Let's tune them. I might tune them down a touch, make them a little darker. And for this little breakdown, maybe at the end, again, we want to drop the drums out, drop this out as well. So there's just a little bit of a gap before it moves into whatever you want to happen next in the track. And we could introduce maybe another... I don't know, a little vocal again. We could try and go back to the same sample pack that we had before.
All right.
You young bastard. Yeah, this is not... That's right.
Respect the way.
Got that really crazy laughter there. Let's bring it down a touch. Yeah, it's kind of fun. And then around there, drop the drums back out again on this sequence. So... get a little bit of space. Might layer that with other things. And in terms of like a song structure, then you might want to, you know, bounce back to bringing this back in. So you would go from this one, I think maybe with that laughter down a little bit more. And I think on this sequence that we were just working with, a little noise that comes in when all the drums drop out. And we heard like a gong before, but I don't know where that was. I don't remember what sample pack. Was it the Marco Polo stuff? I heard it before, but it would be kind of the cool thing to have in there. Let's just quickly see if it's in. We're not going to do too much longer on this video because I know it's already been quite a long time. What were we before? Cymbals? Is that where we were? No, it wasn't in there. I'll never find it again now unless I search for it and go through it at some point. Let's just see. It wasn't in perks, was it? It's not likely. That would have been kind of cool if it was a long sample, but it's short. Just cuts off too easily. Anyway, you get what I'm trying to say. I think I probably will sign off there for today's episode. I just wanted to make something, a bit of like a jungle track. We'll play out on the beat. Maybe I'll just bounce around through some of the sequences. But hopefully that gives you a look into, one, making something slightly different with the MPC sample. Certainly for me, going more into like a jungle kind of vibe. But how I would use these sequences to create the building blocks for that track. We can glue them together. We can rearrange them. In song mode, I could make this obviously a lot longer. It's not a very long track at the moment, but that's how I would build. I'd start, then kind of reverse engineer, turn something into an intro, and then just keep moving through in different chunks and making each chunk slightly more different than the last, if that makes sense. Anyway, we'll play out on the beat. I hope you have enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.
You don't make up for your sins in the church. You do it in the streets. You do it at home. The rest is bullshit. 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 You don't make up for your sins in the church. You do it in the streets. You do it at home. The rest is bullshit. 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 Bullshit.